I remember the exact moment when fear almost paralyzed me. It wasn't in a fight, as one might expect, but rather when I first arrived in America with only $100 in my pocket. Everything I knew had vanished, leaving everything I had built behind. Do you feel it too? When confronted with the unknown, you feel a tightness in your chest. Society tells you to suppress it and run away from it, but they're mistaken. Fear is not your adversary. It is the greatest gift you will ever receive, if you know how to use it. And today, I'll show you how I learned to turn fear into unstoppable power. Growing up in Hong Kong, I was not immune to fear. The streets were my teachers, and each confrontation taught me something important. But it wasn't the fights that scared me the most. It was the thought of not becoming who I was meant to be. That fear followed me around, whispering doubts into my ear with each step I took. Many people look at me and believe I have overcome fear, that I have become fearless. This is arguably the most dangerous misconception. The goal isn't to be fearless. That state doesn't exist. Even the strongest warrior experiences fear. The difference lies in how they interpret it. Let me share something I've never told many people. Courage isn't about not feeling fear. Courage is feeling the full force of your fear and moving forward anyway. Every time I stepped into a challenge, every time I faced an opponent, fear was my companion. But instead of fighting against it, I learned to listen to it. Here's what I discovered. Fear is nothing but energy, powerful, primal energy. When you feel fear, what you're really feeling is an enormous surge of potential power. Your heart beats faster, your senses sharpen, your body prepares for action. This isn't weakness. This is your body channeling ancient wisdom, preparing you for greatness. Think about it. When you feel afraid, you are at your most alert, your most alive. Every cell in your body is awakened, ready and waiting. Most people waste this energy by trying to suppress it or run from it. But what if I told you that this very energy could become your greatest source of power? I spent years studying not just martial arts, but the very nature of energy itself. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, the energy of fear is identical to the energy of excitement, of breakthrough, of transformation. The only difference is in how you direct it. When I was developing Jeet, people would ask me, how can you fight without a fixed style? They feared the unknown, the unconventional, fear of breaking tradition, of stepping outside what's familiar. It's the same fear that holds back human potential. Remember what I always say, boards don't hit back. Your fears are often like these boards, rigid, lifeless things that only have the power you give them. Let me tell you how I discovered this truth. In my early days of teaching, I discovered something remarkable about anxious energy. Before demonstrations, my students would be seized with apprehension. Their hands would shake, their breathing would grow shallow. I taught them something revolutionary. Don't attempt to calm down, redirect that energy. If your hands are shaking, let them tremble faster. If your heart is racing, make it race for your advantage. You see, physical fear and mental fear are deeply connected. When you face a physical challenge, whether it's a fight, a performance, or a competition, your body creates energy. The same happens with mental challenges, a business decision, a life change, a personal confrontation. The key is not to distinguish between these types of fear, but to understand that they are the same energy, appearing in different forms. This is where my philosophy of being like water becomes crucial. Water doesn't fight against obstacles. It flows around them, over them, even through them. When you feel fear rising, be like water. Don't resist the energy flow with it. Embrace it. Let it fill you with power. Fear is attempting to prepare you for greatness, but most people interpret its energy as a signal to stop. Most people don't realize that the difference between fear and power is simply one of direction. Fear is energy that moves inward, causing tension, doubt, and paralysis. Power is the same energy that flows outward, inspiring action, confidence, and breakthrough. The transformation is not about fighting fear, but about redirecting its flow. Empty your cup. This is what I tell every student who comes to me, filled with preconceptions about fear. If your cup is already full of what you think you know about fear, how can you learn its true lessons? Most people's cups are overflowing with society's teachings about fear, that it's weakness, that it must be eliminated, that it holds you back. Empty your cup first. I learned this the hard way during my own journey. Every fear I faced became my teacher. When I feared a particular kick wasn't strong enough, that fear taught me perfect form. When I feared a technique wouldn't work in real combat, that fear drove me to test and refine until it became unbreakable. Fear was never my enemy. It was my most honest mentor. Let me introduce you to a concept I call productive tension. In martial arts, complete relaxation is as useless as complete tension. The real power lies in the balance between the two. Think of a bamboo reed. It has tension, yet it can bend without breaking. This is how you should hold your fear knot, so tight that it paralyzes you, but not so loose that you lose its lesson. I remember preparing for a crucial demonstration in front of grandmasters. Everyone expected the traditional forms, the expected patterns. My fear told me to play it safe, to stick to what they knew, but I listened deeper to that fear. What was it really telling me? It was showing me exactly what I needed: to innovate, to break free. That fear of disappointment became the fuel for my most innovative techniques. This is the philosophy that transformed my fear into power, not by conquering it, but by forming an alliance with it. Fear is not just an emotion to overcome, it's a compass pointing directly at your next breakthrough. Let me share with you a powerful technique I developed, what I call the mirror technique. Every morning, I would stand before the mirror and face my deepest fears, speaking them aloud, not to defeat them, but to understand them. Your reflection cannot lie to you. When you look into your own eyes and speak your fear, you begin to see them for what they truly are, signposts pointing toward your growth. Here's your daily practice. First, start catching yourself in moments of fear. Don't judge these moments, observe them. Feel where the fear sits in your body. Is it in your chest, your stomach, your throat? This awareness is crucial. What you can feel, you can transform. When you feel that familiar tension rising, here's what you do. Instead of trying to calm yourself, amplify the energy. Feel it growing stronger. Now direct it into whatever you're about to do. If you're about to speak in public, let that energy fuel your voice. If you're about to make a crucial decision, let it sharpen your focus. Remember, fear is nothing but unused power. Start with small victories. Don't try to conquer your biggest fear first. Begin with the smaller ones, the daily fears. Fear of speaking up in meetings, fear of trying a new technique, fear of looking foolish. Each small victory reprograms your relationship with fear. Every time you successfully convert fear into power, you strengthen this ability. I'll tell you what I tell all my students. Practice this daily, like any other skill. Fear will visit you every day, giving you countless opportunities to transform it into power. Each time you feel afraid, silently thank your fear for offering you more energy to work with. This is not just philosophy. This is practical alchemy, turning the lead of fear into the gold of personal power. Remember how I started with just $100 in my pocket, facing the unknown in a foreign land? That same fear that once paralyzed me became the foundation of everything I built. Looking back, I realized that every significant breakthrough in my life came wrapped in the disguise of fear. You see, fear is not your enemy. It never was. Fear is like a finger pointing toward the moon. Don't focus on the finger, or you'll miss all that heavenly glory. Your fears are pointing directly at your destiny, showing you exactly where you need to go. From this moment forward, I want you to make a decision. When fear rises within you, don't retreat. Step forward. Feel its energy coursing through you, transforming into pure power. Because the truth is, Your fears aren't here to stop you. They're here to show you how powerful you can become. Remember, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. I'll meet you at the entrance